Like a conquistador ready to conquer distant vast lands and inseminate their presence onto foreigners, I'm ready to conquer this next tier list. Genshin Impact gliding moans. We're going in with no condom, full-fledged raw ejaculation of a degree that will melt and destroy your Axon terminals. Let's go. First up is Amber. Let's go ahead and start with English.
Get ready for the gliding champion of Mondstadt. I won't let you down. What'd you think? Not bad, huh?
Pretty staccato.
私はモンドの飛行チャンピオンなんだから。任せてちょうだい。いくよー。ビューン。どう？すごいでしょ。ほっ。やった。
This last one is pretty good. A lot of timbre fluctuations within there.
我可是蒙德城的飞行冠军，尽管交给我吧。
Damn.
嘿，吼，怎么样？我厉害吧？
Those are decent.
내가 비행 챔피언이야. 내게 맡겨. 어때? 나 좀 멋지지?
These amber gliding moans kind of remind me of New Spain, where Spain was controlling the empire of the New World, but instead of dealing with the labor shortages by developing a system of large manors called encomiendas, they're just developing staccato moans instead in order to enslave me under their conquistadors. I put Amber into the C tier. That was pretty mid. Moving on to Barbara. Alright, what do you have for me, Barbara? Damn, that's pretty staccato. I do like the pitch. Duration could be a little bit better though, and I think loudness can be improved a little bit. Ooh, this is really like that one. Ooh. Fire. That's really good. Those are decent. Ooh. Wow, the Korean ones might be better than Japanese. That's surprising. Barbara's moans kind of remind me of mercantilism, except instead of like the philosophy of the world's wealth being sharply limited, and then therefore one nation's gain is another nation's loss. It's kind of like one moan's gain is one moan's loss. It's like Barbara's trying to export more timbre fluctuations than importing them in order to gain a favorable balance of trade. This is probably to make Barbara more economically and militarily stronger. Barbara, B tier. Next up is Albedo. Ooh. Very good non-linear decibels. Extremely loud, profound. Pretty good duration. It's not the longest duration. I think, you really want to draw them out, but those are pretty decent. Those are good. Yeah, I like the English a lot better. Pretty staccato. I do like the little bit of exhaust, like gas exhaust that it's giving off. Those are actually surprisingly good. Albedo kind of reminds me of Queen Elizabeth I, but instead of being the Protestant successor to Queen Mary, Albedo's the Protestant successor to the Queen of Moans. Like Queen Elizabeth, Albedo is a popular leader and the first person to successfully hold the throne of timbre fluctuations. Clearly, Albedo has invested a lot in English decibels and acoustic velocity, and the Spanish New World. Instead of bringing upon a war response from Spain in the form of the Spanish Armada, Albedo is bringing a war within my inner cochlea and tympanic membrane with the moaning Armada. Queen Elizabeth I established Protestantism in England and encouraged English business, And you can see here that Albedo is clearly encouraging moaning business, not to mention establishing monology in England. Albedo, A tier. Beto is next. Ooh, the English Beto moans are pretty good. Beto's gliding moans seem to be a little bit yeasty, but it hasn't had enough time to fully rise. It's always a travesty when bread is harvested too early and not allowed to reach to its full potential, allowing the yeast to do its part, and this moan is no different. I do sense a proprietary colonial likeness to Beto's moans. Perhaps Beto is an authority figure with direct responsibility to Liyue's overseer, Ningguang, or maybe it's just the lack of acoustic velocity in Beto's moans. I put Beto in B tier. Bennett. Don't really like those. Those are really staccato. Good duration, good loudness. I do like the exasperation a little bit there, but I think the loudness could be improved. Ooh, the Korean is a nice little twist. Korean Bennett is a nice little sucker punch. It's like a hint of paprika that sack taps you upon your palate, but it also has a nice stinging but soothing sensation. Bennett, B tier. Chung-yoon, how do you glide?
I ride on wind and cloud alike.
Jesus Christ.
Here is fine.
Too much talking, not enough moaning.
風に乗って飛ぶぞ。ここまでだ。ゆっと。ゆっと。
The first 5 were a bit iffy, but this last one. Oof. That amount of timbre is rare. That is quite delectable.
且看踏风纵云的本领。就到这里。
Those are decent. I like the timbre fluctuations. Loudness can be a little bit better. Maybe increase those decibels.
나의 구름을 타는 재주를 보아라. 자, 여기까지.
Decent. I think this one is amazing. I want this to be played at my funeral. Chung-yoon, A tier. D-Luke is up next. Wow. D-Luke just always brings the smackdown in terms of moans. So rich and full of flavor, clearly a lot of love and passion went into the culinary aspect of these moans. It's like the acoustic velocity was seasoned by Jesus, and the sonic texture is drop dead immaculate. I don't think you can saute a moan better than D-Luke has here. D-Luke S tier. Diona?
I'm flying! 飛べたもう終わりよっはいフィッシュ来啦なろらそう
Very wholesome. C for wholesome. Official.
ここまでか
Good duration and good loudness. Ooh, very good sonic texture there. These moans kind of remind me of English Puritanism. It's kind of like these moans are rejecting the Roman Catholic acoustic velocity because of their Calvinist timbre fluctuations. It seems like these moans are trying to fervently make these timbre fluctuations more pure. I put Fischl in B tier. Ganyu? Very good loudness, very good duration. I have no problems with those two aspects of these gliding moans. Ooh, very good pitch. The nonlinear decibels there are pretty mediocre. I think that they need to be a little bit higher. Ganyu's moans have clearly been blanched and seasoned very well. Similar to the Dutch West India Company, these gliding moans are as profitable as the Native American Iroquois. Ganyu's moans hold a lot of power and a lot of tenure. These moans have probably been fact-checked by dozens of brilliant scientists, and they all agree that everything is good here. Ganyu, A tier. Hu Tao.
With the wind.
Excellent timbre fluctuations, holy shit. The acoustic velocity is fucking nuts. The fluctuations in timbre are so succulent. Oof. I like that.
顺风顺水。가랑따고 샤.
So many timbre fluctuations, holy shit. All these modes have been baptized in timbre. The nonlinear decibels and particle acceleration should be illegal to be this good. In 1587, when Sir Walter Raleigh selected Roanoke Island as a site for the first English settlement, he returned to England to secure extra supplies, and when he returned, he found that the colony was deserted. It's not known what became of the Roanoke settlers, but I'm pretty sure it was Hu Tao's gliding moans that drove them off. Hu Tao, S tier, Jean. Very percussive, not quite staccato, but there's a lot of impact in those moans. Very good timbre fluctuations. Extremely good duration and loudness. Jane's gliding moans are kind of like a chocolate covered strawberry. You have a little bit of nuttiness in there, but it's also sweet, tangy. These gliding moans are spicy but also umami as well. Just like St. Augustine, Florida in 1598, when Spain sent a force to the settlement of the French Protestants, freely practicing their own religion and forming a colony near modern-day St. Augustine, Florida. Spain's forces massacred the fort's inhabitants and destroyed them. Jean's moans are similar in that they're massacring my tympanic membrane with this wonderfully concocted au jus of gliding moans. Jean, A tier. Kaching. Kokusei. Pretty good loudness, not enough duration though. Current's probably the best in terms of timbre fluctuations out of all of them. Starving time during the 1600s, where many colonists died and considered going back to England. I feel like the acoustic velocity within these gliding moans kind of died and are trying to return back to their acoustic homeland. Overall, I was expecting a little bit more from Kokusei, but I don't think these gliding moans are terrible. I put Kaching in C tier. Klee. Very wholesome. Lisa, do your expectations here. Pretty staccato. God damn it. Holy fuck. I feel like I've just been baptized. Jamestown in 1607, full of a swamp of disease and contaminated water resources. Despite the location and hostile relations with the Native Americans, John Smith kept the colony from collapsing. Lisa's gliding moans go even further. Japanese Lisa's gliding moans are so ethereal, they're preventing me from collapsing. Every single atom within the acoustic soundbite of Lisa's gliding moans have been handcrafted by Zeus himself. The way these moans fertilize within my tympanic membrane and bang on my eardrums, these moans are so moist that you could probably drown in them. Like a perfect wet fart, I would listen to these moans for the rest of my life. Lisa, S tier. Mona.
Scry the sky. Scrying complete.
Pretty staccato. Kinda disappointed.
これで星空がよりはっきり見えます。
That's a good one.
ここまでにしましょう。这样更能看清星空了。就看到这儿吧。
Ooh, Chinese Mona is pretty good.
이러면 별 하늘을 더 잘 볼 수 있겠지? 여기까지만 보자.
Mona's gliding moans kind of reminds me of the indenture system in the 1600s when poor workers, convicted criminals, and debtors received immigration passage in return for a number of years of labor. Those servants had little control on the conditions of their work and living arrangements, which led to harsh and brutal treatment. I think the same thing went for the acoustic velocity and timbre fluctuations of these gliding moans. Mona doesn't really have any control over them, and the results are pretty brutal. There are specific ways where you can make a queef smell good and sound good, and there's a thin line between the dark side and the good side. Queefs can either be god tier or god awful, and once you cross that threshold of being terrible, there's no going back. I wish I could say these gliding moans are like an excellent queef, but unfortunately I cannot do so. Mona, C tier. Ningguang. Ooh, really like the pitch there. Ooh. Sounds like a little bit like Lisa's. This is a really good gliding moan. Ningguang's gliding moans kind of reminds me of John Rolfe, the English colonist in Jamestown, Virginia. But instead of being married to Pocahontas, Ningguang is married to acoustic velocity and timbre fluctuations. Rolfe created the process of curing tobacco, ensuring economic success for Jamestown. Ningguang did something similar. She created the process of curing moaning, ensuring economic success because of her timbre fluctuations in loudness and duration. I put Ningguang at A tier. Noelle, you're up to the chopping block. Wow, those are good. Those ones are very celestial. Whoops. Very good pitch. Really good particle acceleration as well. Noelle's gliding moans are kind of like the House of Burgesses in 1619, which was the representative assembly in Virginia. Election to a seat was limited to voting members of the chartered colony, which at first was all free men, but later rules required that a man own at least 50 acres of land to vote. Where here you need at least 50 decibels of moaning in order to vote, so Noelle would breeze past that requirement with flying colors. Here Noelle is instituting private ownership of timbre fluctuations, loudness, duration, and acoustic velocity. Noelle's gliding moans have been baked to perfection, a pure golden crisp of crunchiness and chewiness. Noelle, A tier. Chi-Chi.
I'm fine. Not scared. 怖くないよ、怖くない。不怕，不怕。不是假了。
Wholesome. Razor. It sounds like Razor is trying to pass some gas, but it won't come out, and I really like that. Jesus. This is the holy elixir of gliding moans. So many timbre fluctuations. The loudness is immaculate. Unrivaled. You don't get much better than this, folks. Just like the first families of Virginia, the wealthy and socially prominent families in Virginia who by 1776 had been in America for 4 generations. The Lees, Carters, and Fitzhughs, Japanese razor gliding moans, are also wealthy and prominent. It's like these Japanese gliding moans were broiled with holy Jesus blood. These moans were then seared on Zeus's grill. This is what happens when an unstoppable timbre fluctuation meets an immovable sonic texture. Razor's gliding moans defies the second law of thermodynamics. After hearing these gliding moans, I am able to conquer entropy. I'm not degenerating into a more disordered state. On the contrary, I'm doing the opposite. These moans have given me the power. These moans have given me the power to generate into a more ordered state. There is no energy wasted here. Razor, S tier. Rosaria.
行くわよ。よし。
Pretty decent overall. Ooh. I think the Korean gliding moans are probably the best out of all of them. Just like the Separatists, setting sail from Plymouth, England in September 1620 and landing in Provincetown Harbor, going on board the Mayflower to go on a journey, the audio sound waves from these gliding moans set sail wonderfully into my eardrums, tickling and titillating my dendrites quite nicely. Whereas the Pilgrims created the Mayflower Compact to create a government owned by the majority, these Rosaria gliding moans created the Moaning Compact, where these moans are guided by loudness, duration, and timbre. Rosaria, B tier. Sucrose. A bit tangy.
よいしょ。限界。へい。よいしょ。
Pretty good loudness. Oh, that's a pretty good moan. Kind of like the headright system, which was introduced in 1618, where the Virginia Company introduced a system to attract colonists by promising them parcels of land, about 50 acres, to emigrate to America. These gliding moans are promising me 50 decibels of moans. Sucrose's gliding moans are definitely attractive with good timbre, very good loudness. These moans are reminiscent of like a nicely poached egg that's not too salty or too overpowering in flavor. Sucrose, B tier. Child.
I could get used to this.
Good acoustic oscillations. I think the audibility is marvelous.
悪くないね。ふう。楽しかった。
The ultrasound and the oscillations that it's giving off are fantastic.
感觉不错。
The noise control is very impressive.
느낌 좋군.
The Massachusetts Bay Company in 1629 was a joint stock company chartered by a group of Puritans escaping King James I. Like John Winthrop, teaching the new colony the ways of being a model Christian society, Child is teaching our world the ways of being a model moaning society. Child, A tier. Female MC, Lumine. Holy crap. The loudness is immaculate. The amount of hertz in these moans are marvelous. Very good timbre. I'm overall pretty satisfied with these gliding moans. The way these sound waves are transmitting to my brain is exceptional. The transverse waves of Lumine's gliding moans are tremendously overpowered. The sonic texture is remarkable. Lumine's gliding moans are kind of like the proprietors in 1630, except instead of providing opportunity for royal control, these gliding moans are providing opportunity for acoustic control. Lumine, B tier. Male MC, Aether. Holy shit. Very good loudness. Very good acoustic velocity. The sonic texture and the non-linear decibels, amazing. Really good amount of hertz. Similar to Anne Hutchinson in 1638, where she claimed to have special revelations from God that superseded the Bible, contrary to the Puritan doctrine. Aether's gliding moans have special revelations that are in fact from God. The way these sound bites of these gliding moans are able to manipulate and oscillate within the air molecules in the atmosphere proves just how dedicated and hard-working these moans are. These moans have excellent noise control and are handcrafted to perfection. It's like Aether's voice box has been baptized by Jesus himself. Aether, S tier, Venti. Not a big fan of the English ones, a bit staccato. Excellent pitch.
Yahey!
Ooh. Very good loudness and duration there. The particle displacement there is amazing as well. Venti is probably similar to Roger Williams, who in 1603 was a Puritan preacher who fled to Massachusetts after his views on religious observance became too extreme for the colonists. Venti is like a Puritan bard who had to flee Mondstadt because his moans were too extreme for the citizens in Mondstadt. Venti, A tier. Changling. Those gliding moans are very sharp. Ooh. Very good duration there. That is a very comfortable amount of hertz. Not too much, not too little. Goldilocks zone. Kind of like the English Civil War in 1642, Shangling's gliding moans are in their own civil war of moaning, where instead of the conflict being based upon the struggle between King Charles I and the English Parliament, it's behind the staccato gliding moan and the long duration moans. The English Civil War, of course, led to the outright conflict between the royalist military forces and the forces opposing Charles I. Here, this monology civil war occurs between the outright conflict between the staccato moans and the long duration moans. Therefore, I push Shangling into the C tier. Up next, Xiao. Holy fuck. Duration cannot be improved at all. That is immaculate. Holy shit. We've hit the jackpot, ladies and gentlemen. Like getting a perfect row on a bingo card, we've reached peak RNG. These gliding modes have so much oscillation and delicacy to them, it's fucking nuts. The acoustic sound bites and the way they oscillate within the air, these moaning vibrations are titillating my tympanic membranes to such a degree that I cannot even talk about them. The spatial location and sonic texture is phenomenal. I didn't know it was humanly possible for me to perceive such amazing transverse waves. Like the Maryland Act of Toleration in 1649, which guaranteed religious freedom to all Christians in Maryland, Xiao's gliding moans are guaranteeing timbre fluctuations to all humans in the world. The Maryland Act of Toleration was an important precedent for the later characterization of the United States and its Constitution. I argue that you should put Xiao's gliding moans into the Constitution. I don't care how they do it. Just get these sound bites within that piece of paper. These gliding moans are so ethereal and celestial, it'd probably not even be difficult to do so. Xiao, S tier. Xingzhi. Duration kind of picked up there a little bit. Those are really decent. Really good loudness and duration. Ooh, the Koreans is a nice little punch. I'm actually pleasantly surprised about Xingchu's gliding moans. They have excellent timbre fluctuations. I think the acoustic velocity and particle acceleration is very good. The audibility and transverse waves are tremendously prodigious. Xingchu, B tier. Xinyan is next. Pretty staccato. Quite disappointed.
ロックだぜはっやよ
I think the pitch is really good there. Other than the Korean, all of them are pretty staccato, which is not what you want. The acoustic velocity is a little bit slow here. Xinyan's gliding modes aren't really oscillating with as much fervor as the other characters do. The spatial location and sound pressure is not as inviting or invigorating as some of the other builds. Xinyan D tier. Jonathan Lee. Jung Lee. Oh. Let's fucking go. Holy shit. Holy fuck, the way these gliding modes reverberate into my ears. The loudness is phenomenal. There's a ridiculously pleasant amount of hertz going on here. Zhongli's gliding modes are like a punch from One Punch Man. They smack the shit out of you. If you hooked up these gliding modes to a speaker and played them at a stadium, it would rupture the tectonic plates in the earth. You would immediately witness an earthquake on the Richter scale of 7.0, nay, 8.0 and above. These gliding modes have an unbelievable amount of timbre fluctuations that oscillate and pry into your tympanic membrane. These gliding modes have surgical precision that would conquer even the best doctors in the world. The amount of noise control in these modes are unbelievable and can even rival computers, a supercomputer. Listening to Zhongli's gliding modes might turn you into a Quaker-like specimen. Around 1680, Quakers believed that human religious institutions were for the most part unnecessary, and that you could receive revelation directly from God and place little importance on the Bible. These holy gliding modes should be held with the utmost importance, and I'm getting revelations just listening to these sound waves. Zhongli, S tier. I regret to inform you that our last ultimate character to judge upon is Kukya.
Catch the wind. Now that was fun.
風だ。刺激的だったぜ。
起风了，哇，还挺刺激的。
바람이 불고 있어. 아주 짜릿한데.
F tier. And that's the Genshin Impact gliding modes tier list.